So I'm making this video for the people that I know are out there who feel like giving up, who feel like they don't have it in them anymore, who feel like they don't see themselves going another day, and just again, what feels like hammered by life. I feel we are in a world that is so digitally connected but so isolated at the same time. And it's surprising because we've never been able to be in contact with each other this much, yet we are forced to do what feels like isolate ourselves, or we just do it maybe because of the overwhelming fact that we are also connected, and maybe that's what's pushed us apart from each other. The ability to say literally anything and feel anything, or to compare yourself to literally anyone, regardless of the proximity they are to you. But I want to share some anecdotes, stories of my personal experience, as well as my overall observation or observations of things that I've noticed. And I would just like to share them with you in case you might need perspective or gain any perspective from anything I say. I am just another human being who walks on this planet just like you do. At the end of the day, we are on a giant floating rock. It's just a lot of rules that have made it somewhat hard to live on this rock. I believe that the person that is watching this, boy, girl, man, female, it doesn't matter. I feel that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be grandiose, to be amazing, to be pinnacle and top 1% of literally any facet of our lives that we are involved with or participating in. And I want to be here to tell you that you are doing your very best. And if you're not, then you know what you need to be doing to increase your level of output. I went to a Chris Williamson show back in November, and he said that type A people have a type B problem, and type B problem have a type A problem. And what that means is that people who are self-starters, go-getters, self-motivated, very hustle, need to learn how to chill out. And people who are too chilled out need to learn how to hustle. And a lot of us need to understand that things aren't as black and white as we like to make them seem. There are different shades of gray, a lot of them. And as young as I am, I'm beginning to understand that we are not as simple as these outcomes that we like to present on social media or just speak about. There's a lot of individual things that play a part in our lives that create different outcomes and conditions for us. A lot of things can be epigenetic, which means that you are adaptive to the environment or create some form of characteristics based on the environment that was presented to you. And an example like that could be like, you might come from a bloodline of very smart people, but because you might have been raised in an environment where there's lack of resource and information to certain things, you're not as smart as the rest. And that happens in reverse too. And the reason why I'm getting at that is that I think we like to collectively think that we are all going through this alone, which is ironic and a little bit of an oxymoron. And the reason I say that is because to think that we all together at the same time think that we're going through the things that we're going through alone is irony. We are all going through the same feelings of anxiety, self-doubt, disbelief, lack of self-worth, lack of self-esteem. And we go through those emotions on a day to day. Now, there's always going to be exceptions to the rules, but today we're not speaking about the exceptions. We're speaking about the fact that there are people like us who are out there on a day to day trying the best that we can, not only to just survive, but get to a point of thriving and propelling ourselves forward in this life. The thing that stops us, from what I can understand, is that we constantly are overwhelmed and bum rushed by people succeeding. And the reason why we can do that is because social media isn't a place for you to go to be vulnerable, a place for you to go to show your shortcomings, because it is a place that is ruthless with those shortcomings, because people who are going through worse shortcomings or the same love company. There's a phrase or an old adage saying, misery loves company. And that's people who are going through a terrible time and can't seem to figure out how to get out of that or get out of their own way, would much rather put people or get in other people's way, whether by saying verbal things that are upsetting, doing physical things that are upsetting, just anything they can do to add to the misery in the world. Now, if you're not one of those people and you are someone who is trying to better your life, understand that you are not alone in that process. You feel alone until you find the others that are alone. And I want to be able to share some of the anecdotes of this past year to show you that life is going to be ups and downs. As young as I am, I'm starting to understand that life is ups and downs. It is not linear. And the same thing has been said over and over again, but sometimes it depends on who is the messenger for us to finally listen and understand. I might be that messenger for you today, or someone else might be, but my ability to speak today, you watching it, might give you a seed planted. So the next time you hear that, it gives you oh, this might be the common consensus. I keep hearing people saying the same thing. So if I'm a part of that journey for you to figure that out, then I'm okay with that. But if I am the person that helps it click for you today, I'm okay with that. So I want to start by saying, at the end of 2024 in December, I had put goals on my phone that I did not know how I was going to accomplish. I didn't understand how I was going to do it, because some of them required financial stuff and I didn't have anything to my name. Some of them required just an ability to believe in yourself, and I had belief, but I still was being outweighed by self-doubt. But I knew that subconsciously, if I was looking at this goal every single day, something, and I was telling myself about it, something, if I was feeling and imagining and visualizing this, something would happen. Now, I'm somebody who believes in frequency, and not everyone is going to understand what I mean by that. But I know that people understand that we have a sun in the sky. And that sun is made up of energy. That sun distributes energy to us, the things on this planet, and provides a source of something, whether it be food or energy for us. People feel better when they're in the sun. The grass is greener when it's in the sun. Plants grow when it's in the sun. So if you can understand that concept, then you can understand that energy is a concept, and it is very real. Now, I believe that we as people are energy beings. I'm not trying to get all like spiritual heebie-jeebie. I'm just saying that this is a fact. When someone dies and leaves back behind their body, you understand that they are no longer them, which means and confirms that we are, in fact, spiritual to energy-like beings. Now, with that, I feel that we have the ability to connect to a frequency, whether it be negative or positive. And that's why they say like attracts like, or when it comes to the fact that misery likes company, that's because it's that frequency. Or when you get to being on a certain, I want to say, trajectory of progress, you tend to find other people that are on that same trajectory with you as well. That is frequency. When good things start to happen in consecutive order, That's frequency. When bad things are happening in consecutive order, that's frequency. Now, frequency doesn't have to be in your mind a spiritual belief of anything. I just need you to understand that things happen in order. And when they say that you're the sum of X amount of people that you're around, what they're speaking about is frequency. If you are in a negative group of people, you then attune yourself to that frequency. If you're in a positive group of people, I'm pretty sure at some point you're going to tune yourself to that frequency. If you are in a different side of the world, you have to start eventually speaking that language because you have to be a part of that frequency to understand what's going on. The lifestyle, the way that people move in different parts of the country, the way that people speak, the way that people interact and do things. The reason why you acclimate yourself is because you are now on that frequency. So if you weren't somebody who believed in frequency before, I just want you to kind of sit with that thought and understand that your patterns or behaviors switch and change depending on where you're at. A lot of us understand that we're not going to wear jeans and stuff that you wear to a nightclub to a wedding because that's not the frequency of the wedding. And most people, unless you're like the owner or a high VIP individual, don't wear what you would wear to a wedding to a club. The reason we can differentiate the two is because we understand what that frequency looks like. The same thing that you wouldn't wear to a funeral is not going to be the same thing you wear to a birthday party, and vice versa. Frequency. Now, on the topic of frequency, I want you to understand that you have the ability, or I believe that you have the ability to adjust your frequency. It just takes time to do so. It starts with action followed by consistency. Consistency equals momentum, and momentum equals rewards. And those rewards happen to benefit you in one way, shape, or form. The only reason why I can say that is because based off of the year that I've had, I was aware of the momentum. I was aware to be consistent. And I was aware that based off of the consistency or the actions I was putting in, by being consistent with those actions, momentum was created. And from momentum being created, results were given. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, again, I had these goals. From January, I was in a bad spot mentally. I had no internship. I was quote unquote going to graduate. And I was in a spot where I had nothing lined up job-wise at all. And as a college student, that is like the worst feeling in the world because you don't know what's about to happen, especially now that we're aware that we are in a pretty bad market for everything, whether it be cars, housing, finances, everything. It's pretty bad right now. But that's also a roller coaster as well. So I want to give you some hope on that. But I walked into the year saying, shit is not looking good. With that, I said, well, the only thing that I could do is do my very best. And that was looking at the things that I wanted to do for the year and figuring out, well, how can I do it? Now, self-belief is having faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the fact that the universe or God will provide depending on how much you meet them in the middle or all the way. That's my belief. Now, I believe that once you understand that you can only do your best and put that forward, things start to happen. Not immediately, and that's where people fall off because people think when things happen, if they don't happen immediately, nothing is going to change. But I want you to understand that if I gave a rock to a slingshot and only just went like this, or didn't even pull it back, and was surprised and upset the fact that the rock didn't go anywhere but down, I would be ignorant. The reason for that is because the function of a slingshot is to pull it back and create as much momentum to then shoot it as far as possible. You are no different. You create momentum by making sure you pull yourself back and line yourself in position to propel yourself in the direction that you want to go. And then you walk over to where you landed and go, let's do that again. And again and again and again until you get to the required destination that you're looking for. So from January to March, let's talk about it in quarters, because that's what businesses do. That's what sports games do. Because if you tried to say, hey, we're going to win a game by playing, I don't even know how much time some games are, but let's just say a quarter. I think on most games, it's kind of like 12 minutes, something like that. But imagine you saying, we're going to play this game for 30 minutes, 2 halves. Some games are set up like that. But let's say in the game of basketball or football, you're going to be like, you know what, we're just going to play a very long quarter. I would not be surprised if the performance is pretty bad, because you need time to break it up and change your strategy. For the sports fans, you understand that. For people in real life that maybe not are participating or understand the logic of sports, just understand that sections are broken up. If I said do this for just a year without giving you small segments to work in, you most likely will not succeed, because you can't game plan pieces of those months or pieces of that year. So from January to March, my whole focus was to better my networks, connections, get some type of internship or professional experience, as well as graduate. Now, I'll start off by saying, by the start of the year, I was told I was not going to graduate with the class that I walked in with. As demoralizing as that kind of sounded, I would come to find out later on in the future that that was actually a blessing. With that, I said, okay, well, if that's the case, then I'm going to just do what I can where it's forced me to focus up on myself and put my head down. By networking in close proximity to the events that my college campus was having, because you start small, and I'll get to what I mean by that, by building and getting better with my grades, I was enhancing my self-discipline, and I eventually found a flyer just because I started to look for these opportunities for something that was called an externship. I didn't even know what that was, but I saw the ship and I was like, well, it's the opposite of internship, but it must be something of value. I applied for it. I got it. I placed with my team within the externship competition, which led to an internship full-time in the summer. The networking connections that I was having, I was meeting people left and right just because of the fact that I was beginning to show up. I was getting better grades and finished off on a high note of my spring semester. January to March. Not only that, but in between that, I was working odd jobs delivering flowers because I needed to find a way to make extra money. From April to June, I had one goal, which was to plan a trip out the country with my friends and my girlfriend. I was blessed to be able to save enough to go out of the country with my girlfriend because I was busting my ass. I was able to do it, and I was surprised. Within that time, I got the internship, and I was able to borrow a car. Now, that car came with strings attached. I had to make payments. So every day was busting my ass to make sure that I could make those payments, and I was forced to be smart with my money. Further in that summer, I am making sure that this internship recognizes the value that I can provide. I am always hard on myself, so I feel like I could always have done more, but I did what I could. From July or June, July, I'm beginning the foundation pieces of creating a business. I'm staying up every night from 2 to 3 a.m. and my girlfriend is asleep next to me. And I'm trying to figure out how can I create a business. I'm talking with AI, figuring out different things, strategizing, because at that point I'm a self-starter and I'm the only person creating a business. I don't have no employees and stuff I can't afford employees at that time and at this moment in a way. So I'm just figuring out what I can because I'm doing my best because that's all we can do. I end up getting my first client without the business being officially officiated. I guess that's the term I'm looking for. But working, figuring it out, learning. That first client taught me so much about myself, my patience, my ability to operate, how to deliver, and how to show up. It was frustrating, but we got the job done. From August to September. August, I finished my internship. I moved back in to my college campus. I'm starting 4 a.m. runs, and I am doing the best that I could possibly do. In September, I had the luxury of being taken to New York by my girlfriend as a birthday gift. It was fire, just being able to see different parts of even just the world to me. Like, people might be like, just New York. To me, it's like being able to see a different city, being able to do. I recommend if you have the opportunity to just go somewhere small, maybe the next city over, the next big city over, do it and just see how much bigger the world is compared to where you are at. In September, I launched my first ad for my business to show people, okay, we're getting started. And I didn't have the business officiated. I didn't have the LLC yet, but I said, I'm just going to start because I believe that if I started, things would be kept in place for me. But if I didn't, this idea would move on to someone else. So I posted it, started it, still working on it, still building while it's trying to be while staying active, while being a student, while building a business, while having an externship, while also having a work study, which if people don't know, work study is just having a campus job. Was it stressful? Yes, but I have a pretty high stress tolerance now. Was it annoying? Yes. Did it teach me discipline? Yes. Did it teach me resource management? Yes. Did it teach me time management? Yes. Because I remember where I was in January. So this was everything that I was looking for, one way or another. In October, I go and I have different networking events that I go to because I'm showing up. And I'm still working odd jobs while this is happening. I'm going from my school on a commuter rail, 2-hour train ride back into the city, and going to these networking events, working these odd jobs back in the city and coming back to school. I remember there was a 3-day period where I think September 30th, I was at a meeting with the vice chancellors, getting my face out there, being more involved in campus from October. And then right after that, October 1st, I was helping host a young career in tech kind of event as an extension and a connection towards the internship that I did in the summer. And then the next day after that, I'm going to a networking conference in Boston, October 2nd. Now there's professionals there's people that make money, and I could feel it. And the only reason I didn't feel inadequate is because I showed up and dressed the part. Within that same day, by lunchtime, when we break and we come back, I scrounged anything I could from the $400 I had in my savings account and $100 I had in my checkings account and a little bit of $100 I had put aside in my savings, which I always look back and I'm like, couldn't even, like, only 400, like, only 400 to your name. But because of expenses randomly come around, I never really had the opportunity to really save the way I want to. But I put that together and I bought my LLC. Just so I could not back out. Just so I could stop over-analyzing and being in analysis paralysis. I buy it. Broke. I continue to move forward. 20 days later, I am just doing more things, doing more things related towards school. I'm staying active, staying healthy. I hit an anniversary milestone with my girlfriend, and I'm still in it. I'm still doing what I can. I'm still making sure that when it comes to being there and showing up for myself, I'm going to do so. And there's a specific date that I want to talk about. October 22nd, I was told by someone I know to go into a pitch contest for the business. And I was nervous. I was not prepared, but I tried my best to prepare. I watched the video over and over again. They didn't really give us much of a prompt. They kind of gave us a prompt, but I went in there. People already kind of know each other. They have banners on their tables have set up. I had a table and all I had was a laptop and my friend Danny. I went in there, and regardless of how the situation was set up, I put my best foot forward. And I placed first and got $1,000 for the business. It was a great experience. It was a great win. And it allowed me to understand that showing up is 90% of it. 10% is making sure that you do what you need to do, because you can't do what you need to do if you don't even show up. After that, November 13th, I go to see Chris Williamson, which is an online podcaster about self-discovery, self-improvement, basically optimizing your life. I recommend anyone who's watching him and doesn't know to go check out their channel. It's great. After that, I get interviewed by my school based off of the work that I had been putting in from January up until that point. Because this fall that has just passed, or is passing now, is my last semester in school. So I wasn't trying to leave anything on the table. So I get interviewed by my school to get a featured article about me. I didn't plan that. I was just noticed based off of what I was doing. From there, I was able to go on that vacation I was talking about that I had planned back and didn't know, because that was one of the goals on my list from December of 2024. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I wanted to make sure that by my own means, I was able to go on a vacation with my woman outside the country. And a blessing on top of that, when you're working on something like that, I was able to then also add to that trip by going on a trip with my best friend and my close friends that connected into that week conveniently. Frequency. This is what I'm trying to tell you. From there, I came back. I realized that I needed that because I was so stressed based off of putting so much effort in to making sure that my life was better. In December, where we are now, I came back from school because now I'm officially on paper graduating, but I haven't had my commencement yet, which I think will be the final click that I've graduated college. I go to more networking events in December. I meet a high net worth individual who is a business executive for a very, very large Fortune 100 company. And within 2 days of just talking, they invite us to a Patriots game, 5th row. I could run onto the field if I wanted to, but we wouldn't do that. Now, I've been able to have experiences where I've met high net worth individuals, and I learned that disparity is the worst thing that you can do. Don't be so, please, 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 can I interact? Can I interact? You do what is given to you. You obviously speak up for yourself, but do not expect anything out of it rather than just information, talking, and making the most out of the connections that you have. And talking. Whatever conversation you do have the opportunity to have with a high net worth individual, speak about something that is intentional and really try your best to understand that they get approached all the time by people thinking that they're the next best thing, the next big thing, the next one that's gonna change their life, but they really want them to change their life. Don't be that person. And because of that, I have not been like that with this person. I enjoyed the experience, and I realized, well, while I have them, let me ask as many questions. Anytime they went to the concession stand, I was talking to them. Anytime that they're like, I'm gonna go for a bathroom break, I'm like, you know what, I'll go too. Not on a weird vibe, but if we're going up the steps and we're just gonna wait in line, that's a perfect opportunity to talk. I never know when I'm gonna see this person again. Now, I'm going to do my best to try and reach out to this person again, but if nothing happens, I'm okay with that because that's the level of frequency I'm on. He is not the first high net worth individual I've met, and he won't be the last. From there, I enjoyed the remaining days of my semester with my friend Danny and my friend Raj, just understanding that this is the last time that I will be in college for now. If it ever happens again, maybe, who knows? but for now, this is the last time I'll ever be in college. So I enjoy it. You know, I don't take things as serious as I just make sure that my grades are good, but I enjoy it. I enjoy spending quality time with my friends. Parties and stuff like that don't mean anything to me. From there, the article goes live. I feel a lot of validation from that, but I understand that it's just a piece. It's time to keep going. From there, I was able to sign on a few more clients. Still working on, getting all logistics set up for the business. And then I moved back home because I'm done. And I have to wait until May for commencement to have everything feel like graduation, I guess. Today's December 22nd. Now I'm here. Commencement is in May. I don't have a big boy job yet, and I'm still working odd jobs delivering flowers and stuff. I have a new identity from who I used to be. I'm in the feast and famine stage of my business and learning every day. I have goals for the new year, very similar to like December 2024, where I have no idea how it's going to happen other than just me doing my very best. I don't know what the next year looks like. So I say that to say, hang in there. Because I wish someone had told me that. That 3-word phrase can go so far, because am I anywhere that I want to be just yet? No, but I'm a lot closer than where I used to be. Am I exactly the person that I want to be? No, but I'm very much closer than what I used to be. And I say that to say that we are people who are completely obsessed with the idea of who the next person looks like, just basically always putting yourself on a podium next to somebody and saying it's not good enough. The same way that someone might look at the wins that I just said throughout this year. Oh, let's not forget another. I got scammed at some point in this year too. Like, this life is a roller coaster. This year was a roller coaster. There was great things that happened, and then there were certain things that are just like, that was not good. I said all of the positives to show you that there are so many things that when you finally zoom out and look at, you can go, wow, I did not expect any of that to happen. And I can trust and believe me, the trip out the country was the big highlight for me. And part of me almost didn't feel like that was going to happen. I believed it was going to happen. But there was part of me that was like, I don't know if that's going to happen. And I feel like that's speaking to a lot of situations that we all go through. You are always going to have a piece of self-doubt. It is very hard to completely and wholeheartedly believe something all the way to be true. Because naturally, you're playing a game of possibilities. Because if it's possible that it can go good, it is also possible that it can go bad. So don't beat yourself up for having a piece of self-doubt. That's just part of being you. The thing that I want you to understand is that everything can change once you are aware of your frequency. Understand, are you at a low frequency? Are you at a mid frequency? Or are you already vibrating at a high frequency? And high frequency just means, are you consistent? Or are you inconsistent, which is low frequency? That because I know some people need to hear things in different ways. So if I were you and I was telling you how to hang in there, but didn't give you anything to walk away with other than just the story I would give you of wins that I've had this year, I feel like that would be a disservice to you. The formula that I want you to understand is that I don't really believe that balance is as true as we like to say it is. I believe in something called, or I like to call it, ratio, which means that for you, your ratio might be 65-35. And that's how you are a balanced individual. I think for me, I'm 80-20. And the higher number for me is work. The lower number for me is play. Other people have different ratios. Some people might be 45-55. Some people might be 50-50. Some people might be 70-30. Some people might be 90-10. Your ratio is accustomed to who you are as an individual. So the frequency equation that I would like to give you, and I want you to really think about and sit on the idea on how you can make this happen, is understand that you have goals and ideas that you want to make a reality. So you need to put action behind those goals. You need to be consistent with that. And then when you're consistent, you will build something called momentum. Now, this one's tricky because most people don't realize when they have it. But if you are in a stream of seeing yourself get consecutive wins, do not self-sabotage by letting up. When people say keep your foot on the gas or your foot on the next, it's because you have momentum. Continue to do what you're doing because better things will come. And the last part of this is reward. It's reaping what you sow. It is bearing fruits of the labor you're putting in. When you have momentum, good things happen. And you can only get good things if you create the momentum. You can only get momentum if you're consistent. You can only be consistent if you have applied action. And you can only have applied action if you have ideas. That 5-piece equation will fix a lot of problems that you have going on. And that's speaking from an anecdotal standpoint. I believe that wholeheartedly in my being. Your frequency is everything. Please hang in there. Keep going. Good luck. I'm rooting for you.